Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm following up on a question I asked last year of the Minister of Veterans Affairs concerning the Conservatives' treatment of our servicemen and women. I notified him at that time that Thunder Bay's mayor and city council had voted unanimously to condemn the closure of the Veterans Affairs office in Thunder Bay and across Canada. But the minister went ahead and closed the offices anyway. I told him how I received hundreds of messages from Canadians who are angry at the government's poor treatment of our veterans. I told him how I received hundreds of messages from, but instead of reconsidering and ending the clawback of benefits to injured and disabled soldiers, the minister actually insulted and further outraged veterans who came to visit him. One he insulted was my constituent. Roy Lamore is a World War II Navy vet from the Branch 5 Legion in Thunder Bay, Superior North. I joined him last Friday at the Veterans Affairs office in Thunder Bay, along with dozens of other vets and constituents, and we held a memorial service for the closure of this local office. Mr. Lamore was outraged that the minister had treated him and his fellow vets so badly after coming all the way to Ottawa. He said it is a complete disgrace that the office that he and other vets depend on is closing. Many people I meet say the same thing. Mr. Speaker, the local Thunder Bay office served a vast area, all the way from the Manitoba border to past Sault Ste. Marie. It served over 2,000 veterans and their families and employed 10 people, 10 hard-working, skilled people. On Friday, the Conservative government closed that office. This shows a complete disregard for the needs of our veterans, the opinions of the people of Thunder Bay Superior North, and all of our servicemen and women. It's ridiculous to say that they will get the specialized support they need through a 1-800 number or a Byzantine website. They are now supposed to go through Service Canada, which in Thunder Bay Superior North is already way overworked after deep cutbacks and layoffs there. My own constituency office is now doing much of the work that Service Canada is supposed to do. And now my two hardworking staffers, Shannon and Vicky, will have to try to replace the services of 10 expert Veterans Affairs laid-off staff. Our veterans have specific needs that require specialized training, yet Conservatives think that a general Service Canada employee who doesn't have the knowledge or experience will be good enough as a replacement. Veterans Ombudsman Guy Perron has called for the government to rectify failures in supporting veterans. He found that veterans who sustain serious and permanent injuries are all too often left with little or no support and are at high risk of falling into poverty. Vocational rehabilitation programs for those under 65 are deficient, and families left to care for wounded or addicted soldiers are left without the necessary resources, Mr. Speaker. In short, this government is leaving our servicemen and women in their time of need, and Mr. Speaker, it is shameful. What's even worse is the tragic rash of suicides by veterans over the last 2 months. One can only imagine how abandoned they feel. There has never been a worse time to abandon our vets. Things are so bad, the veterans have actually sued the government for disability support. Imagine, not only has this government been derelict in their responsibility to veterans, but they actually argue in court that no such responsibility even exists. They feel there's no special obligation to veterans who were injured in Korea, Bosnia, Afghanistan, and World War II. Incredible. So, Mr. Speaker, I ask the minister, will he stop fighting our veterans in court and reinstate the disability supports and replace vital services, or will he resign? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Parliament Secretary to the Minister of Veterans Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me first start by thanking the Honourable Member for his question. At the same time, as other members heard and I heard the comments and the question that the member opposite posed, it is unbelievable how much misinformation is loaded in that, Mr. Speaker. It's extremely unfortunate. I would encourage the member opposite, first of all, to familiarize himself in terms of the different benefits that are available for Canada's veterans, Mr. Speaker. And also the fact that he is a former member of the New Democratic Party. Mr. Speaker, virtually every single initiative that this government has brought forward to assist Canada's veterans, the NDP has voted against, and the honourable member was member of that party, now sits independent, and he was also part of that voting process and has continued to vote against the government in different initiatives that we have brought forward. Mr. Speaker, just to give you an idea, our government has invested almost $5 billion in new additional funds since coming to office since 2006, Mr. Speaker. Services that are available for our veterans, such as we will shovel their snow, Mr. Speaker, we'll cut their grass, Mr. Speaker, we'll clean their home, we'll deliver meals to their front doors. In the event a veteran is unable to drive to a district office, he or she is seriously injured, we will also send a registered nurse or a case manager in the comfort of their home, Mr. Speaker, to assist them, and the help that they need, the necessary assistance would be provided, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to do all of these things for our veterans because we recognize the tremendous sacrifices that they have made towards our country and for the freedom that we enjoy, Mr. Speaker. This is the commitment that our government, the Conservative government, has towards all men and women in uniform, all veterans that have served our great nation, Mr. Speaker. I'll give you another example, Mr. Speaker. This fiscal year, we are investing $785 million in additional funding compared to 2005, for instance, when the Liberal Party was in power and Liberal government was in place. Mr. Speaker, also with regards to the district offices that are being merged with Service Canada offices, 8 of them, out of 8 of those district offices, Mr. Speaker, 5 of those are in the same building at 5 different locations. They're in the same building as the Service Canada office, Mr. Speaker. So there's really no change. A couple of the other offices are within or under a kilometer, Mr. Speaker. There's only one office, which is in Thunder Bay, which is approximately 4 kilometers away, Mr. Speaker. And what I would encourage is the member opposite to realize the fact that we now have 600 additional points of service across this country, Mr. Speaker. So veterans across this great nation now have the benefit of going to Service Canada office and receiving the information and assistance that is necessary that they need so they can be helped. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Thunder Bay Superior North.
Mr. Speaker, this is a very different story than the one I hear directly from veterans in Thunder Bay Superior North, and I know who I believe. Mr. Speaker, almost nothing this Conservative government does surprises me anymore, but this is a new low. For years, they have wrapped themselves in the flag and pretended to be the best friends to the Canadian forces. But doing right by your duty means more than just pretty words, patriotic rhetoric, and wasting $20 billion on F-35s. Our servicemen and women deserve action, not just words. Unfortunately, the actions of this government have done our veterans a great disservice. Veterans have served us well, but the Conservatives refuse to serve them. We owe it to our veterans to have proper support for them when they return from duty with serious injuries, mental health traumas, addictions, or any disabilities, Mr. Speaker. So I ask again, will the minister take responsibility and rectify this big mistake, these gross errors, or do the honorable thing and resign? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The only thing I would say I agree with the honourable member opposite is actions do speak much, much louder than words. There is no doubt about that, and that's exactly the reason why our government has brought forward initiatives, have invested billions of dollars so our veterans can be looked after in terms of services and benefits that we provide them. And that member and all opposition parties can continue to vote against them. Mr. Speaker, our commitment is we will continue to stand up for Canada's veterans, and we will do that.